Today we're going to switch it up. We're going to talk about one of my favorite things, traveling. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Last few videos I've done have been around dating, so feel free to go check those out. I wanted to talk about my favorite places that I've been so far, and a few places that weren't quite it for me. I can't say that I've traveled a lot, but I've traveled quite a bit, and it's something I try to do whenever I can. And it's really something that's always on my mind. I'm always planning a trip, figuring out when I can go do something. So I'm super excited about this topic. The first off is Rome. I went to Rome as part of a group trip with a company called EF. I went on the ultimate break, which, fun fact, I'm thriving in my 30s, but apparently that's too old for ultimate break. They have other programs too though, so maybe I'll do one of those in the future, but I had a great time. So if you're really in your 20s and you're interested in going somewhere with a couple friends but don't know how to plan things, or if you were solo like me, I hadn't traveled without somebody I knew before, and I also was a little too nervous to just go completely solo by myself. So I joined EF and it was a great decision. I had a great time. Luckily, I lucked out with the group of people I went with. I still stayed connected with some of them, so it was a really great opportunity to meet people, to go and feel safer than you may have if you just went solo. So totally recommend. Our last stop of that trip was actually Rome, and we were there over New Year's, which was fun. It was great to be overseas for New Year. It was the year right before the shutdown, so it was a great bang before being stuck in a house for 2 years. I'm planning a trip to Italy with my cousins, and they haven't been to Rome, so we're gonna stop for a couple days, a part of that trip. So I'm super excited to go back. I basically did all of the main touristy things the last time I went, so if you've been and you have any gems of especially food, guys, I'm very food motivated. Anything with good food, good coffee, good desserts, and baked goods, I'm there. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. We'll be going to Rome, Amalfi, and Tuscany. So please, any recommendations? I'm also just happy to be wine and carb drunk the whole time. Honestly, what I loved about Rome was you truly feel like you're stepping into the past, just history. They've kept all of the architecture from truly ancient times so well, and when you're walking the streets of the city, you just kind of are walking amongst history. So it's truly a feeling that I've never had anywhere else I've gone before, and just how they're able to kind of preserve all of that architecture and history and still be able to kind of build around it was wonderful. So I definitely recommend it. It's definitely a touristy area, so just be aware that there are going to be crowds of people in all the biggest spots, but totally worth it. The next place. This isn't a place that I didn't like completely. It was also part of this trip that I went on with EF. We were in London during Christmas. Apparently they just shut down. The entire city is just tapped out during Christmas, which is good. I mean, hopefully they're enjoying their time off, but it totally was a shock to the system when I was there because it wasn't what I was expecting. So it's not that I didn't like London, it was the fact that I don't think I experienced actual London. A lot of things were closed. Pretty much all the museums were closed. We got to do a walking tour as part of the group that I was with, they scheduled most of our like lunches and dinners, which was good because even a lot of those places were closed. It was just unfortunate timing. So definitely not recommending London. Maybe one day I'll give it another chance. But there's also a lot of places that I would probably go to again, or go to before I go to London again. I just recommend not going during the holiday season, especially if you're doing a few days around Christmas, because Christmas Eve and Christmas pretty much closed. Next favorite place was Ireland. Ireland was a complete random on a whim trip. I was hanging out with a girlfriend and we were like, we should go somewhere. And I really wanted to do a trip in Europe. We honestly were just looking for a place that wouldn't break the bank but would be a great time. It was the right decision. We stayed for just about a week and we found a really good deal at the time on Travelocity. We got our hotel and flight through there. We had a little bit of a flight debacle at the end, but it all worked out. I didn't have much expectations with Ireland. I knew it was a beautiful country, but I didn't really know what all there was to do. As I mentioned, I'm a complete foodie and I do love me some Guinness, but aside from that, I didn't know what they were known for, what I should be trying. Honestly, everything was wonderful. Everything I had just tasted delicious, fresh, and like basically just like homemade, I want to say. It was just so good. So I would say don't be afraid to try anything. Like truly, I didn't have any issues there. I used a lot of day trips. I think I used Get Your Guide and we hopped on a bunch of day tours. So Cliffs of Moher, we went to Galway, a few other trips because we were there for a whole week. And then we also rented a car so we were able to get into the city and explore Dublin. We also drove down to Cork, which that was a bit of a debacle of a day, but we did get a funny story out of it. We were driving, GPS took us down quite literally an alleyway and we just got stuck. We just panicked. We were like, how do we get out of here? The car was starting to scratch the side of the wall and we were like, what do we do now? And we were standing there like trying to figure it out and we were literally about to just take the L on the car and scratch it up and just keep it moving. And the gentleman walked over and he no doubt was like, these stupid American girls. But he was very nice. I will say pretty much everyone we encountered there was super nice. He straight up told us, I have seen bigger cars have come through here without a problem. My friend was driving at the time and he just like stuck his hand on the wheel and maneuvered something, and with barely any scratches we made it out. It was the other side of the road, other side of the car driving, but it truly wasn't that bad. We were able to figure it out and navigate around just fine throughout Ireland. We lucked out. We went right around January or February, which often gets a bad rap for being not great weather, but I think Ireland in general has like, it rains and it gets cloudy. It worked out in our favor. It was a little cold and rained a bit here and there, but nothing that stopped us from anything that we wanted to do. Even our trip, which was a highlight if you ever go to Ireland, is the Cliffs of Moher. And it was like gray and cloudy as we got there, and then the clouds departed and it was just absolutely gorgeous. So if you ever get the chance, I would highly recommend Ireland.
So I lost all my video for my Spain spiel. Spain is a bit bittersweet because I was lucky to go on a long vacation with one of my best friends, one of my cousins, and we went after she graduated from her undergrad, and it was a awesome time to be able to hang out with her. I think we booked our trip just a tad bit too long, so we were there for about 2.5 weeks, and we were just pretty much constantly on the move. We went to so many different cities in Spain. I would have probably cut that time in half and focused in on just 2 or 3 cities. So we did Madrid, Barcelona, Granada, Valencia, Sevilla. I want to say there was another one in there too. So it was a lot of shuffling around. And I would have probably focused in on just Barcelona and Sevilla. We really liked Barcelona. There's so much to do there that you can definitely spend a few days there. City life. My cousin's really into soccer, so we visited the stadium and got like a backstage tour, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. We got to go to the locker rooms. If you're a soccer or football fan, I would highly recommend doing the tour. We did this day trip to Montserrat, probably saying that wrong, but we did a day trip up there, and it was gorgeous, and they have this cathedral up there. It was really cool. So if you spend a little bit more time in Barcelona, you can also go do a day trip, and I recommend doing that one. I also really like Sevilla because the southern side of Spain has a lot of Middle Eastern, Moroccan influence, so it definitely has a different vibe to the other cities, and you can see it in their architecture, and it's beautiful. I would have focused in on those 2 cities. I will say overall for me, the biggest letdown was the food, and to be fair, I may have just not gotten the right things. I usually try to look up what places are known for and try to eat that and find good restaurants and stuff, but a lot of the things that I had in Spain were just not quite what I wanted it to be, and I want to say it's because things were not seasoned very much, and I'm a huge flavor person. In Valencia, we did find a place that could make us paella because it's very locally known in Valencia and in Spain in general, and that was one of the best meals that we had. We also had some good meals in Barcelona, but it was very hard to find food that we truly enjoyed. And again, this might have been my own fault for not knowing what to eat or not selecting all the right things, but I mean, I would maybe go again to give it another chance, but I don't know. We were there for so long again. But I've also heard people who love Spain, so take my recommendation with a grain of salt.
On the flip side to Spain, I just went to Portugal this year. I started my year off with a bang, and honestly, I highly recommend going places in January, February. Pretty much all of my trips are that end of the year to beginning of the year time frames. It's just right after the holiday season, prices aren't crazy. I've never had a problem with the weather, so it's kind of always worked out for me there. On the flip side to Spain was pretty short, so the next time around is finding the sweet spot. I feel like my Ireland trip was about a week, so it was like not too short and not too long. We got to see a lot. It didn't feel like we were rushing to do things. Whereas in Spain, we were like rushing to go from place to place, but it also felt like we had so much time there. And in Portugal, we also like it didn't feel rushed, but it also felt like we could have spent a little bit more time there. So I think we were there for like 4 days, and we did Lisbon and barely a day in Porto. So I went with my oldest best friend. We've been friends since preschool, and this is the first trip that we've gone together, and we picked Portugal because we both heard really great things. It was relatively cheaper than all the other places we were interested in going, both the flight to get there, the hotels, but also just food and things that we wanted to do. But it's very affordable if you are interested in going. We also were very interested to go because this friend of mine has pretty much like been a huge factor in all the like things that I enjoy drinking, because I feel like she introduced me to it. So Guinness, she introduced me to stout, so it is somehow my favorite type of beer. It reminds me of coffee. Tequila, she's the one who introduced me to tequila. I love me a good margarita. She does like all the kinds of tequila, and I really only like a smooth tequila with a dabble of a good mezcal. And port wine, she loves it. So on our agenda had to try all the port wine we possibly could, and then go to a port winery, which not really in Porto, but in the neighboring town of Gaia. So we went there, of course, and that was our one day out there. Everything we did there was top notch. So far, all of my big trips have been in Europe, and I would love to branch out at some point, but I also do love everything European. When I'm not able to go to Europe, or if it's just like quicker trips and I still want to go somewhere, I do like to go places here in the States. The one place that I probably wouldn't go out of my way to go back to is LA. I don't know how to describe it aside from like it's just not my vibe, which was a little disappointing because I do love television and movies, and if in a dream world I knew how to do more things, I would love to work on a TV show or movie, not as an actor, but like something behind the scenes. But living in LA, that doesn't sound, no, just no. I don't know how to describe it other than that. I've gone twice to LA to go to LA. One was many years ago, and the planning of the trip just wasn't it. But I'm telling you, it was just like the vibe. The vibe was just not vibing for me. I don't know what it is, but it just, if I'm being honest, it felt like disingenuous. Like it was like a fakeness about it. I don't know. But my one friend that I was with also felt the vibe, but my other friend does really like LA. I also went back just last summer with my cousins who I'm going to Italy with, and I tried to deter us from going and trying to plan somewhere else for our girls trip, but we ended up there, and I mean, it's always a great time with them, and we loved our hotel. It was a really nice view of wherever we were. I have no idea. If you know LA, we were literally right next door to the Viper Room. I wouldn't go out of my way to go there again. I'll leave it at that. On the flip side, one of my favorite cities in the whole world is New York. If it wasn't so outrageously expensive to live there in quite literally a matchbox, I would move there in a heartbeat. it's logically just not worth it to live there without being a bajillionaire. I do try to go once or twice a year though, and it literally never disappoints. Went right at the end of last year, like right before Thanksgiving. So much fun. Honestly, I've never had a bad experience in New York. I have a great time every single time. I mean, I've gone to New York with friends, with family, on my own. Always a good time. Pretty much stuffed my face the entire time in New York, which I'm not completely mad at because I very rarely have repeated anywhere that I've gone because there's so many options. It's pretty much always great. I'm like on the verge of planning a trip to New York in May because another singer who is only going to be in New York and LA is coming, so why not? So stay tuned because I might be going to New York. If you're interested in how I kind of plan out a trip, how I kind of schedule what I'm going to do, where I'm going to go, let me know. And if you're interested, feel free to follow along and subscribe. Finally, if it wasn't blatantly obvious by my videos in the past, this beautiful painting behind me, literally this, if you're able to read it, it's a French quote. I am that basic bitch who loves Paris. I would like to say all of France. I've been twice and both times I went to Paris. The first time was in college, which I feel like there's a bit of like nostalgia that it was the first time that I went on a trip that wasn't with my family. I went with my college. It was similar to my group trip because it was a bunch of random people, and then I went again. It was one of the stops on the group trip. It was truly a place that I only dreamed of going to, so being there felt like a dream both times. And I know people are like, ugh, it's gross, it's disgusting, it's dirty. Same thing with New York, same thing in places in LA. Pretty much every major city, you can say the same. Alright guys, until next time, thanks for watching. It's a city, and the city is like highly congested, populated. People are in and out all the time, so yes, there are places that are not super clean and whatnot, but it's like a mindset, right? Honestly, the people who complain, that's what they complain about, or they complain that French people are rude, which again, I've never experienced, but I also feel like I don't come off as a rude person, so no one comes back feeling that way. So I feel like you kind of get the energy that you give out, if you will. And I'm not a very like demanding person or rude or abrasive, so I've never had any issues with anyone. Definitely more of a language barrier than other places that I've gone. The first time I went, I did all of the super touristy spots, and it was beautiful and amazing, and I loved every second of it. And the second time, I definitely kind of broke away from the group a lot because they were also going to go see the same things I had seen. So I went to places that I hadn't been that are not as popular or touristy, and it was so much fun. And I cannot wait. I'm talking with a couple friends about going to France again, and this time we'd stop in Paris, but we'd probably explore in northern France because we really want to go to the Mont Saint-Michel, which is the beautiful like castle that the water comes in and out of, and it's just mind-blowing. And then try to go down to Marseille in south of France too. So I'm hoping that that works out because I would love to go explore the rest of the country if it lives up to even a portion of how much Paris has lived up in my in my dreams, it will be amazing. If you're interested in hearing any more details about any of those trips, any kind of tips on where to go, what to avoid, any spots, any foodie spots to check out, let me know. Let me know what your favorite place was that you've ever been to. I am always adding to my list. Maybe I will talk about places that I am planning on going to. If there are any places that you recommend checking out, let me know in the comments, because I'm always working on my travel bucket list. I have quite a few places that I still want to go. And let me know the places that you didn't love, because, you know, sometimes it's a hit and sometimes it's a miss. So if there's somewhere I should avoid going, let me know that too. Alright guys, until next time, thanks for watching.
Maybe it's too soon, yeah, you know we just met. What I got to lose, gonna send the address. I don't like to wait, so you better not